With Manor Lords dropping, when I played the game, I had a few questions and I couldn't find answers to a lot of them. So I figured people might have the same questions that I had when I was playing the game. So I took the 10 questions that I had, found the answers to them, and I'm going to give them to you. So hopefully you don't run into the same issue that I ran into. Some might be a little bit more obvious than others, but I still had the question and I figure you might as well. Some buildings have two different things. What do they represent? When you have the generic storage, that means the dry good. And when you have the pantry, that normally means the food item. So we'll take the hunting camp as an example. With the generic, you're getting leather. With the pantry, you're getting meat. And that's why you'll notice a lot of times two different ones. So if you're running full on one of those items, you know whether or not to put somebody in the granary to collect the meat or in the storehouse to collect the leather so it doesn't overflow. When should you put somebody in your storehouse or your granary to collect up items? When they collect up items, they use a hand cart, as you can see this little guy doing right there. When they do that, they will bring 10 goods at a time. If somebody's doing it just regularly, let's say from the granary, they're only going to bring one at a time. So putting people in your storehouse and granary is way more efficient when you need to do it. However, if you don't have the ability to keep somebody in there, wait until whatever it is that you want to move is getting near full. Put somebody in your granary, have them go collect up 30 or 40 of them, and then put them back into wherever you're having them collect from. That way, you can be way more efficient than having somebody just deliver one at a time. When should you get yourself another ox? They are going to make things go so much faster when you're building. The ability for them to carry the timber is amazing. So, when do you do it? Because they cost money and you need to build another hitching post for every one that you get. If you get enough money at the start of the game, I would do it right away. Having two of them running timber all over the place is going to be so much better for you than just having one because it takes a long time for them to build. So if you go after a bandit camp and you send the money to your town, then you should have the money. But be careful about spending too much too early, as you really need to get trading posts set up as they help out so much. So as soon as you get some money, get yourself another ox ASAP. When things start to get full, people will transport goods. When you have goods that are on the ground, they can be destroyed by weather. However, when they pick stuff up off the ground, can it also be destroyed before it gets to the storehouse? It's something I thought of. Wait a minute, does that actually happen? It turns out, no, it doesn't. It was a question of mine that I really struggled with, but as long as it's picked up off the ground and being carried by somebody, it will not decay. So don't worry about it. Just get it off the ground in the first place and you'll be fine. Do you need a worker for your trading post? Or are things done automatically? You would naturally think, yes, you need a worker for the trading post, but it actually is a two-part answer. If you are exporting goods, you need a worker. If you are importing goods, you don't, since the worker at the trading post is just moving materials to and from the trading post. They aren't actually doing the trading. So if you're importing goods, they're going to the trading post and they're just sitting there. So if you do have a worker, they will take goods from the trading post to your granary, storehouse, wherever it might be. So if you are importing goods, you don't need one. If you're exporting goods, you need somebody from the trading post who will then run to the storehouse and the granary to pick up the items and bring it to the trading post. So you have a vegetable garden, it is producing them, but when you first start doing it, you're not going to notice you have any vegetables. Why don't you have them there even though you have vegetable gardens up? It is a little bit of a weird scenario with vegetable gardens. The vegetables actually have to grow and start filling up before they're even going to ship it onto your granary. When you look at a vegetable garden, you'll see that there's all kinds of stuff in here. Until it's about 90% full, they're not going to ship anything to your granary. So that is why it's going to take forever. And you want to have a very big one so you get a lot of vegetables, which is what's suggested by Strat Gaming to make it 3 to 4 times the size of the actual burgage plot. So 75% approximately of the burgage plot should be for your vegetable gardens and the other 25% for the house. So if you're not getting them right away, as you can see right here, this looks pretty darn empty. Don't worry about it. As soon as it starts to fill up, you will get them. It just takes a little bit of time. So you have so many jobs out there that can't be filled, whether it's your saw pit, your forager's hut, and you just don't have enough people. The natural thought process is just get more burgage plots and get more people. Just keep expanding. Should you do that? That's not always the best case. What you have to remember is every single one of them needs a food and needs a fuel. They also, when the burgage plots become higher up, they actually need more stuff, such as ale, clothes, fuel, even more food. So when you start getting a lot more people, you need a lot more food. And if you don't have things for them, then you can suffer an approval ratings decrease, which will then hurt you in the long run. So only expand once you know you can safely feed and give firewood to keep your people warm. The general rule that I've been taught has been 12 months. If you have more than 12 months and you're going up and it's going 13, 14 of things, then go ahead and expand. You'll be fine. Now, you could use those extra people you expand to go ahead and make more firewood or get you more food. But if for some reason you just don't have the food, you're in winter and you just aren't going to have enough, you haven't built chicken coops or vegetable gardens, you can run into serious issues with food. So there are things you can do, which I plan to cover to make things a lot easier, but be very careful about over expanding too early. When you first get your trading post, there's one vital thing you need to remember, and that's the King's Road. The King's Road are these main roads that go through the game. Do you need to have your trading post on the King's Road? That, once again, is a two-part answer. If it is on the King's Road, then people that go by will naturally trade randomly to you. However, if you are not on the King's Road, which this right here is not the King's Road, I actually built this road off of the King's Road. If you have your trading post anywhere down here, no traders will come by and randomly trade with you. So just remember, if you're on the King's Road, they'll come by randomly and they can buy and sell. Still might have to set yourself a trade route if it's important. But if you're not on the King's Road, you're not going to get those random people coming by. One of the silliest things that to this day still gets to me is where's my wealth? At first, I looked and I saw my character and I saw this plus this, and okay, that's my treasury. But for the longest time, I kept seeing where is the money for the area I'm in? I just couldn't figure it out. There's all these things sitting up here all over the place. It's actually sitting right here. This is the regional wealth. Because in the game, there are some things you're going to have to spend your money for, such as your rent new. But there are other things that are only bought through each region. And those are things that could be like oxen, trading posts, anything that's dedicated to being here and not dealing about you, but dealing with the actual town or village itself, has to come out of the regional wealth. So this is something you have to watch very carefully because there are certain things like upgrading chicken coops or other things that you want to put in there that is going to take money away from the region. Also, to remember, that's money for this region. When you're in here, it's showing here. If you go to another region of yours, it is now going to update and show everything for this region. This one only has 270. That is something you need to watch carefully, as I've had it where the bandit camp spawn. It's been tough for me to get the money to go to a specific region, even if I say send it to the nearest town. I could have a bandit camp here, send my militia out here, send it to the nearest town, and they don't send it here. I don't know if that's something from early access. I haven't figured that out yet. So be really careful when it comes to that, because getting money early on to get trade routes and extra ox established is very important. The early development of a new territory that you've just claimed. One thing that has been very confusing has been market stalls. If you hover over a market stall, not the actual specific stall itself, but if you click on the market stall and then you hover over these, it will tell you what stuff is being put to where. And you have 100% coverage. This only has 91% coverage, so it's not getting them there. The distance can play a factor. Having market stalls closer by will help in stopping that, but it doesn't do everything. If we look at food variety, I have 3 different types of food here. If you look at the edge, they're not getting all the food. As I said, distance can play a factor. However, one thing that I found to really help out, and this might seem kind of obvious, putting more people in the granary. The people that are in the granary will take the stuff to the stalls. So I had a problem with that. And you can see here that this family owns a market stall. So if you put more people in that are running stalls, they're going to supply those goods. If I were to go ahead and take this down to just one person, he's not going to take those goods to the market stall so they can be delivered to the burgage plots. So if you have it to where you're not getting that supply everywhere that you need to get it, do one of 2 things. Either build another market stall over here, which I have, and you once again see it doesn't have coverage close by. Put extra people in the granary. They're going to move all of these goods to the market stalls. So there are the 10 questions that I had when I first ran through the game. Some might be more obvious than others, but I still had the question and wasn't 100% sure, and it baffled me as I didn't want to do things wrong. As in Manor Lords, if you don't have that approval rating going, and depending on the difficulty you're on, you can have people leave very quickly and turn your village or town into a ghost town. So I hope this helped you out in some way. As always, my friends, take care and thanks for watching.